5 hours of sleep. That's what the grind culture influencer told you was enough. That's what the Silicon Valley CEO bragged about in his podcast interview. That's what your most productive colleague claims to run on every single day. 5 hours? Sleep less, do more, hustle harder. What if I told you that person is not more productive than you? What if I told you that running on 5 hours of sleep isn't a superpower? It's one of the slowest and most invisible ways a human being can destroy their own brain. And what if the 8 hours everyone calls lazy is actually the single most powerful productivity tool available to every human being completely free of charge? Today we are settling this debate once and for all. 5 hours versus 8 hours of sleep. The science is in. The data doesn't lie. Let's start with the biggest lie in modern productivity culture. The idea that sleeping less equals achieving more. This myth didn't appear from nowhere. It was carefully constructed and enthusiastically spread by some of the most visible and celebrated people on the planet. Margaret Thatcher famously claimed she ran the United Kingdom on 4 hours of sleep. Elon Musk has discussed working 100-hour weeks, implying minimal sleep. The entire startup culture of the 2000s and 2010s wore sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. And it worked, because when someone wildly successful tells you their secret is sleeping less, your brain makes a dangerous logical leap. They sleep less, they are successful. Therefore, sleeping less leads to success. This is what statisticians call a correlation error, and it has cost millions of people their health, their creativity, their relationships, and their actual productivity. Because here's what nobody talks about. Most people dramatically overestimate their own functioning on insufficient sleep. A landmark study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people who slept 6 hours per night for 2 weeks straight showed cognitive performance, equivalent to someone who had been completely awake for 24 hours. 24 hours without sleep. And here's the terrifying part. Those same people rated themselves as only slightly sleepy. They felt fine. They thought they were functioning. They had no idea how impaired they actually were. The first casualty of sleep deprivation is your ability to recognize that you are sleep deprived. Your brain loses the ability to accurately assess its own damage. That is not productivity. That is a slow-motion disaster with a confident face. Okay, so let's get specific. Because I don't want to just tell you 5 hours of sleep is bad. I want to show you exactly what is happening inside your skull when you operate on insufficient sleep. And it is genuinely horrifying. Hour 1 of sleep deprivation, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. The prefrontal cortex is the most sophisticated part of your brain. It handles decision-making, impulse control, creative thinking, emotional regulation, and complex problem-solving. It is essentially the CEO of your entire brain. Sleep deprivation hits the prefrontal cortex first and hardest. Within a single night of short sleep, your prefrontal cortex activity drops measurably. Your decisions become more impulsive, your thinking becomes more rigid. Your creative problem-solving drops off a cliff. The CEO went home early, and nobody told the rest of the company. Now here's the part that explains why this myth is so incredibly persistent. 5 hours of sleep genuinely feels productive. And I need to explain exactly why, because this is the trap that catches even the smartest people. When you sleep less, you gain extra waking hours. That part is real. You're up at 5 a.m. while everyone else sleeps. You're sending emails at midnight. You're visibly and measurably doing more things than the person who went to bed at 10. And in the short term, over days or even a couple of weeks, you might actually produce more output. More emails sent, more tasks checked off, more hours logged. His is what sleep researchers call the quantity trap. You're producing more quantity, but the quality of every single thing you produce is quietly collapsing underneath you. Your writing is less sharp. Your decisions are less sound. Your creative solutions are less elegant. Your emotional intelligence in meetings is significantly lower. Your ability to learn from mistakes is reduced because your brain's self-assessment ability is one of the first casualties of sleep deprivation. You cannot perceive this quality collapse happening. You feel like you're crushing it. You are actually slowly eroding the very cognitive abilities that make your work exceptional. It's the productivity equivalent of slowly turning down the resolution on your thinking, while the screen still looks fine from a distance. 5 hours of sleep doesn't give you more productive hours. It gives you more hours of subtly degraded performance that compounds into genuinely significant damage over time. Okay, Now let's talk about what actually happens on 8 hours. Because I think most people have absolutely no idea what their brain is doing while they sleep. And once you understand it, you will never feel guilty about 8 hours again. Stage 1. Light sleep. Your body temperature drops. Heart rate slows. Brain begins transitioning from the chaos of waking life. Stage 2. Sleep spindles. Your brain produces rapid bursts of neural activity called sleep spindles. Research from Harvard found that sleep spindles are directly linked to the brain's ability to absorb and integrate new motor skills and information. This is where practice literally becomes permanent. The musician who slept 8 hours after rehearsal improved measurably more than the one who stayed up practicing longer. Stage 3. Deep sleep. The crown jewel. This is where physical restoration happens. Growth hormone is released. Cellular repair occurs. Your immune system does its most critical work. Memories are replayed, organized, cross-referenced, and stored. The strategic thinking you did yesterday, the creative problem you circled around, the skill you were developing, deep sleep takes all of that raw material and builds it into permanent cognitive architecture. Let's talk cold hard numbers, because sometimes the science needs to be translated into something your analytical brain can't argue with. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found that 6 hours of sleep per night for 2 weeks produced cognitive deficits equivalent to 2 full nights of no sleep at all. A study published in the journal Sleep found that sleep-deprived individuals made significantly riskier financial decisions, choosing immediate, smaller rewards over larger delayed gains at dramatically higher rates. After 17 to 19 hours without sleep, which a 5-hour sleeper can reach by mid-evening reaction time, becomes equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. A landmark study from the University of California found that REM sleep improved creative problem-solving by nearly 40% compared to equivalent time spent awake. Okay, real quick, I need to demolish some of the most persistent sleep myths that are actively keeping people trapped in bad patterns. Myth 1. I'll catch up on sleep on the weekend. This is one of the most comforting and most wrong ideas in sleep science. You cannot bank sleep in advance. And while weekend recovery sleep does partially restore some cognitive functions, the term scientists use for this is sleep debt. And like financial debt, it's much harder to pay off than it was to accumulate. Myth 2. I've adapted to 5 hours. My body got used to it. This one is particularly dangerous because it feels completely true. After a few weeks of short sleep, your subjective feelings of sleepiness do genuinely decrease. You stop feeling as tired. But objective cognitive testing shows your performance has not adapted at all. You feel fine. You are not fine. Your brain adapted to feeling normal while performing poorly. Okay, you're convinced. You want the 8 hours. Here's how to actually get them and make every minute count. Number 1. Protect your sleep schedule like a non-negotiable meeting. Number 2. The 90-minute rule before bed. Stop screens 90 minutes before sleep. The blue light from phones and laptops suppresses melatonin production, your brain's sleep onset signal, by up to 3 hours. Number 3. Your bedroom is only for sleep. Your brain learns associations powerfully. If you work in bed, scroll in bed, watch TV in bed. Number 4. Cut caffeine after 2 p.m. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours in most people. So here's where we land: 5 hours versus 8 hours of sleep. This was never actually a close competition. 5 hours gives you more waking hours and quietly degrades the quality of everything you do inside them. 8 hours gives you a fully restored, cognitively sharp, emotionally regulated, creatively primed human being. 7. Who outperforms their sleep-deprived counterpart on every single metric that actually matters. The hustle culture that glorified sleep deprivation wasn't showing you the path to success. It was showing you the path to burnout. Dressed up in productivity language, the most radical act of self-investment you can make, the one that will improve your focus, your creativity, your emotional intelligence, your decision-making, your physical health, and your long-term cognitive function more than any supplement, any morning routine, any productivity system is going to bed on time. That's the whole secret. They've been selling you books and courses to avoid telling you sleep is not the reward you get after you've done enough. So tonight, put the phone down, close the laptop, tell the grind culture to wait. Your brain will thank you in ways you'll feel tomorrow morning. Drop a comment below. Are you a 5-hour sleeper or an 8-hour sleeper? And be honest, no judgment here.